My boyfriend's family spoke in their language, assuming I couldn't understand. Later, I found camera footage where he called me dumb but obedient. His mom laughed and said, "She'll never leave. She needs you." I smiled through that whole dinner, thinking I was welcome. Today, he's begging me not to share what I know. When I first met Elias, it felt like something out of a Netflix romance. He was tall, confident, funny in that quiet way that makes you lean in, and he had this subtle charm that felt safe. The type that doesn't rush you but pulls you in slowly, like warm tea in winter. We met at a university mixer for international students, even though I wasn't one. I was just there with my best friend, who dragged me out after a breakup. Go figure. Elias was originally from abroad. His family spoke a different language at home, and while his English was flawless, his parents and younger sister weren't as fluent. But from day one, they seemed so warm. His mother hugged me the first time we met. His dad made little jokes through Elias that made me feel welcome. His sister even helped me pick out a birthday gift for him. I thought I'd struck gold, not just a boyfriend who adored me, but a family that actually wanted me around. They used to speak in their native tongue around me all the time, but Elias said they just weren't comfortable in English. I believed him. I mean, why wouldn't I? Sometimes I'd notice little things. Like how his mom would say something and look me up and down, then smirk while Elias nodded and chuckled. Or how they'd talk fast and glance at me before suddenly switching to English and asking if I wanted more rice or wine. Once, his dad told Elias something, then looked straight at me and said, "You're lucky to be with my son. He's a good catch." Elias smiled, but something about the way his dad looked at me made my skin prickle. Still, I brushed it off. They were traditional, right? Maybe I was reading too much into things. The deeper we got, the more I tried to impress them. I started helping his mom clean after family dinners, even though she'd always say, "No, sit," but never really meant it. I brought pastries to family lunches, complimented their traditions, and even started learning a few polite phrases in their language, mostly greetings and thank yous. Elias always said they appreciated the effort. And I wanted to believe that. He never showed me much of his world outside of family, though. We rarely went out with his friends. He never posted pictures of us together on Instagram, saying he was low-key and didn't like putting his personal life online. Again, I brushed it off. I was just happy to be loved, or what I thought was love. Looking back, there were cracks. He made these offhand comments that seemed harmless at first, like, "You're not the brightest, but you've got a good heart," or "You'd be so pretty if you just tried a little harder." He said it with a laugh, so I laughed too. Because I didn't want to be the girl who couldn't take a joke. I didn't realize those were warnings. I didn't realize he was the warning. The real turning point came when he surprised me with a camera for my birthday. I just started a little lifestyle vlog, nothing serious, just cozy videos of baking, journaling, things like that. He handed me the sleek digital cam and said, "Thought you could use this for your little hobby." Little hobby. I should have caught that. But instead, I smiled like a fool and thanked him with a kiss. I didn't know yet that the camera he gave me wasn't new, or that it was already loaded with the truth. So, a week after he gave me the camera, Elias invited me to a formal dinner at his family's home. Nothing unusual. His mom liked hosting these traditional meals, and by then, I'd gotten pretty used to how things worked. I knew to bring flowers, never red, to greet everyone with the little hand-on-the-heart gesture they used, and to compliment the food even if I didn't always know what I was eating. This time felt different, though. More formal. Elias told me to dress nicely and be on time, like exactly on time. I wore this simple beige dress he once said made me look well-behaved. Yeah, that's the word he used. When I arrived, the house smelled like saffron and roasted lamb. His mother kissed me on both cheeks. His father gave me the slow, assessing nod. And his sister? She handed me a glass of wine and said, "You'll need this." Then laughed like it was a joke. I laughed too, but something in my chest tightened. At the table, they mostly spoke in their language. Every so often, Elias would lean toward me and whisper translations like, "They're talking about the neighbor's dog again," or "My mom's bragging about her soup recipe." But sometimes, when they laughed, it didn't match the words he gave me. He'd say just something funny about work, but his mom would be looking right at me, smiling with that tilted head, patronizing sweetness that felt more like surveillance than affection. I smiled through it all. I complimented the food. I laughed when they laughed, even if I had no idea why. I offered to help clean the dishes again. His mother waved me off, but not before saying something that made the whole table laugh. Elias said it meant, "She's teasing you for always being so polite." I forced another laugh. That night, after dinner, Elias pulled me aside and said, "They really like you. You're easy to have around." Easy, not kind. Not funny. Easy. On my way out, his dad patted my shoulder and said, "In English this time, you're very useful." Elias made a good choice. Useful. Like a tool. And, still, I smiled. I thanked them. I waved goodbye like a good little girlfriend. When I got home, I unpacked the things in my purse and noticed the camera Elias had gifted me sitting on my desk, still in the case. I hadn't really used it yet, but something made me pick it up. Maybe it was the tight feeling in my chest. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was the fact that something in that house felt off, like I'd just left a stage play where everyone was in on the script except me. I turned it on, and to my surprise, the battery was low but not dead. There were files on it. My heart skipped. I thought, maybe Elias tested it before giving it to me? Maybe some test shots or something? I clicked on the first video. And just like that, my hands went cold. It was me. At that dinner. The camera had been propped up on the cabinet in the corner, facing the dining table at a diagonal angle. No one had told me it was recording. No one had warned me. It wasn't hidden exactly, but it was discreet. Like someone forgot it there, or someone didn't want me to notice it. I hit play. There was laughter. Chatter. The clinking of forks on porcelain. And then, I heard Elias's voice. He was laughing as he said something in their language, and then he switched to English for a second, just long enough to say something I'll never forget. She's not bright, but she's quiet. Obedient. Doesn't question anything. It's like having a housemaid who kisses you goodnight. The laughter that followed shook me. I could feel it in my spine. His mom said something I didn't understand, and his sister replied in English, loud and clear. She's the kind of girl who won't leave, even if you cheat. She'd blame herself. I paused the video. I couldn't breathe. I stared at the camera in my hand like it had bitten me. Like it was haunted. But the only ghost in that house was me, the version of me who smiled, nodded, served dessert, and thought I was loved. I hadn't even reached the end of the video. But I knew. It was only going to get worse. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my bed, wrapped in my blanket, playing the video back in tiny pieces, rewinding, translating what I could using online tools, repeating their tone, their laughter. I wasn't fluent in their language, but some phrases came through. The ones Elias didn't translate at dinner? They weren't about neighbors or soup. They were about me. She's not very pretty, but she knows her place. Useful girl, keeps quiet. Smart choice, son. Easy to manage. She'll never leave. She doesn't have the confidence. They spoke about me like I was livestock. Or worse, furniture. Like I was just part of the decor in Elias's life. The obedient little girlfriend who smiled at the right moments and didn't understand a thing. And the worst part? They were right. I hadn't understood. Not until now. But oh, I would. And they were going to regret thinking otherwise. The next morning, I texted Elias. Last night was really nice. Your mom's cooking is amazing. He replied with a winking emoji. Told you they love you, winky face. I played dumb. I smiled at his message, and then I backed up everything. I exported the footage from the SD card, saved it to a hidden drive, and emailed a copy to myself, labeled under a boring name he'd never click, tax_docs_2022.pdf. I even made a short clip of just the worst lines, just in case I needed quick receipts. For the next few days, I didn't say a word. I kept being easy, sweet, quiet. I asked Elias about another dinner with his family soon, maybe next week. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "That's what I like about you. You just go with the flow." Sure, Elias. I'm flowing, all right. Right into your blind spot. The next dinner came quicker than expected. Elias texted midweek and said his parents were hosting again on Sunday. Nothing fancy, he said, just family. But I already knew what that meant. The same table, the same language, and the same roles. Only this time, I wasn't walking in blind. I wore the same beige dress from last time. The one his mom called humble. I smiled the same way, brought the same almond pastries. I even offered to help with dishes, which she waved off again with that same smirk. If they were expecting the same quiet, eager-to-please girl, they got her. But now I was recording. I had a tiny audio recorder tucked into the lining of my bag. I'd tested it all week, made sure it caught voices clearly. I had no intention of blasting their words all over the internet or anything. This wasn't revenge porn. This was insurance. Dinner started as usual. Laughter in their language, pointed glances at me, Elias doing his half-translations. His mom looked at me, smiled, and said something while waving her hands. Elias chuckled. She said you're like a daughter already. But on the recording? She said, she acts so small. That's why she'll never leave you. His sister leaned over and whispered in English, my brother's lucky. Most girls argue too much. I smiled at her like she'd complimented my shoes. I guess I'm just low maintenance, I said. She laughed. Exactly. I kept my face calm, but inside, something was growing. Something sharp. Later that night, when Elias and I were curled up on his couch, he kissed my shoulder and said, "You're different from other girls, you know that? You don't make everything about you." I looked at him, smiled, and said, "Yeah, I guess I just know how to pick my battles." He nodded like that made sense. He didn't know I was already at war. The next day, I made an appointment with a friend who was fluent in his family's language, someone I trusted. We sat down and watched the full video together. Her face turned from curious to disgusted real fast. "Do you want me to translate this whole thing? Or just the worst parts?" "Worst parts," I said. "For now." She gave me timestamps, line by line. She'll never do better than Elias. Her silence is a gift. Even a dog can learn tricks. They weren't just being cold. They were cruel. And Elias? He wasn't just complicit. He led it. Now I had proof. I had the context. And I had a choice. Stay silent, or make him listen. I didn't respond to his good morning text the next day. I let him sweat. And that was just the beginning. I didn't ghost Elias completely. No, that would have been too sudden. Too obvious. And honestly, too easy. I wanted him to notice the silence, feel it. So I scaled back. Slowly. I answered texts a few hours later. I stopped sending good morning messages. When we talked, I let him fill the silences. I didn't ask about his day, didn't follow up on that project he bragged about. When he asked what was wrong, I smiled and said I was just tired. And I was. Tired of pretending. Tired of serving softness to people who thought I didn't understand a thing. His response? He stepped it up. Flowers just because. Coffee deliveries. Suddenly, he wanted to take me out more. He even posted a photo of us together for the first time ever. Caption: "Lucky to have this one." Hundreds of likes. Heart emojis in the comments. Even his mom commented, "She's a keeper." I stared at that screen, remembering her voice in that recording. She's not smart, but she knows how to stay quiet. It was laughable. This little performance. This man who thought posting a filtered photo of us could cover up the fact that I had receipts of his real thoughts. He could feel the shift. And it scared him. That's when I had an idea. Something small, but sharp. I told him I wanted to bring a friend to the next dinner with his family. He blinked. "Why?" "I don't know. She's curious about your culture. Thought it might be fun." He hesitated. "They're kind of private." "You said they love me, right?" He relented. Of course he did. He didn't want to look suspicious. So I brought someone, Lena. She's fluent in their language. But to Elias, she was just an old college roommate, an artist who loves trying new food. She dressed casually, wore her hair in a simple braid, and smiled the whole time. Said very little, just observed. And they bought it. His family was weirdly polite that evening. Warmer. Almost stiff. His mom served me an extra helping of lamb. His sister complimented my dress. I got the feeling they were performing, too. Like they felt something was off but couldn't place it. But they still slipped up. Because eventually, they got comfortable again. They spoke in their language. And laughed. And whispered. And forgot that not everyone at the table was as clueless as they thought. Lena said nothing in the moment. Just smiled and sipped her wine. Later, in the car, she turned to me and said quietly, "I don't know how you sat through that with a straight face." I looked at her. My heart was already thudding, but I needed to hear it. "Worse than before?" She nodded. "They said, you were the kind of girl who gets cheated on and still makes breakfast. That you don't bring much to the table, but at least you're loyal." I stared out the windshield, gripping the steering wheel. They said Elias was smart for choosing someone so easy to control. Someone with no backbone. I didn't cry. Not even a tear. I just inhaled slowly and said, "Okay. I think I'm ready now." Ready for what? To show them who I really am. Because if they thought I was spineless, they were about to find out exactly how wrong they were. I gave it 3 days. 3 days of playing normal. I sent him selfies. I asked how work was. I even called him babe in a voice so sweet it could rot teeth. And he lapped it up, smiling, relaxed, cocky again. He thought he'd fixed whatever was wrong. He had no idea I'd already started flipping the script behind the scenes. I started small. Sent the audio recording to myself again twice. One to a backup cloud drive. One to a locked folder on an old phone I kept in my drawer. I added subtitles to the video of the dinner. Just the key lines. The useful girl. The quiet dog. The housemaid with kisses. Then I posted a soft vlog update. Nothing explosive, just a cozy life lately video. The camera angle perfectly framed my new favorite mug. Quiet girls hear everything. No one knew what it meant yet, but Elias would. Because later that night, I sent him the clip. Just the part where he said, "She's not bright, but she's obedient. Doesn't argue. Like a housemaid who kisses you goodnight." No context. No message. Just the video file. It took him 5 minutes to call me. I didn't answer. He texted, "Where did you get that?" Then, "It's not what it sounds like." And finally, "Please, can we talk?" I ignored them all. He kept calling. I blocked him. Then I unblocked him the next morning, just long enough to watch the panic build. By noon, I got a message from his sister. "What's going on between you and Elias? He's losing it." Then one from his mom. "Please don't misunderstand our family. Every culture jokes differently." Sure, jokes. That's what it's called when people laugh while tearing you apart in a language they think you can't understand. That evening, Elias showed up outside my apartment. I didn't let him in. I watched from the peephole as he stood there, pacing, hair disheveled, muttering to himself. Then he knocked. "Please," he said. "Can we talk like adults? You're blowing this way out of proportion." I didn't respond. But I slid a note under the door. Just 4 words. "Quiet girls remember everything." I heard him groan, then curse, then silence. He left. But not for long, because the next day, he was back. And this time, he was crying. I didn't expect to feel calm. But that's exactly what I felt when I opened the door and saw him standing there the next night, hood up, eyes red, voice shaking. He looked nothing like the smug, polished man who once told his family I was useful. This version of Elias was unraveling. "Please," he said the moment I stepped into the hallway. "Just let me explain." I didn't invite him in. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe. "You've got 2 minutes." He started talking fast, his words tumbling over each other, like if he said them quick enough, they wouldn't land so hard. "I didn't mean it like that. You know how my family is, they joke, and I just..." He stopped when he saw my face. "I was trying to impress them," he added, weaker now. "I know it sounds bad, but..." "I didn't think you'd ever hear it." That part? That was the only truth he'd told. He didn't think I'd ever hear it, because he thought I was too stupid, too quiet, too harmless to ever know better. And now? He was crying. He wiped his face with his sleeve and said, "I messed up. I know I did. But I love you. I really do. You're good to me. You're safe. Safe. Not beautiful. Not strong. Not respected. Safe. Like a routine. Like something you don't have to work for." I tilted my head. "You love me enough to humiliate me in front of your family?" "I didn't mean to." "You love me enough to let your mother call me a dog?" He went quiet. "You let them laugh at me. You let them reduce me to a maid with no voice, and you laughed along with them. You agreed." He opened his mouth, but I kept going. "I brought wine. I washed dishes. I sat at that table and smiled while they tore me apart in a language I couldn't understand. And you? You translated lies." His shoulders slumped. "I didn't know it would hurt you so much." "Of course you didn't," I said. "Because you thought I'd never find out." He slid down the wall and sat on the floor, head in his hands. "I don't know how to fix this." I crouched, leveled my voice, and said the most honest thing I'd said to him in weeks. "You don't." Because the truth was, I was already done. The version of me who needed Elias to love her, she died the moment I heard him joke about my worth like I wasn't even human. Like I was just a role to be played. Something quiet and easy to control. But I'm not quiet anymore. And I'm not easy. I stood up and looked down at him, this crumpled, broken man who once thought he could speak about me like I wasn't in the room, who thought my silence was a weakness, not a weapon. "You told your family I was obedient. That I wouldn't leave even if you cheated." He looked up, eyes wide. "I'm not leaving," I said, smiling. "I'm disappearing." I walked back inside, shut the door, and locked it. And I didn't look back. That night, I posted my first real storytime vlog. I didn't name names. I didn't expose his family. But I told my story. I talked about what it feels like to be humiliated behind your back. To be spoken about like a burden you're lucky to carry. To be underestimated so deeply that people forget you're even capable of revenge. It wasn't rage that fueled me. It was relief. The story went viral. The comments flooded in women who'd been called too quiet, too plain, too polite. Who were made to feel like silence was all they had to offer. Elias texted me again the next day. "You told everyone." "No, Elias. I told the truth. And the truth doesn't need translation."